I want to introduce you our project. Like this idea started last year. I wanted to I found myself with all my notes organized, completely rewritten. Like for those of you who are in economics, like you know how many times like we get the lecture in slides with mistakes. Everyone is not organized. Before every exams, I found myself with some notes which were very clear, very well written, and I just said to myself, I should write a book out about this. Then I said, who is ever gonna buy my book? Like I'm 20, like no one is ever gonna care. So this is why this platform was born. In particular, I started in February after the January session to gather some people. I started sending some links. And at the beginning, we were quite a large group. Like at some point, we were almost 10. Then, of course, the teams are evolving in this environment. And Finacy is about spreading financial literacy. The problem, I think, it's very well known to everyone. There are many statistics. I usually refer to one made by Banca d'Italia, who did a survey between people between 18 and 34, and found out that not even a third of them were new basic concepts like compound interest, inflations. They knew nothing about the economy they were living in. And this is a huge problem, and it's going to create an even bigger problem macroeconomically, because they are going to inherit unprecedented level of wealth, and they are not going to be able to manage it. So this is our value proposition. This is how we place ourselves, and we want to start. It was incredible how in just a few months we went from like me at the beginning of February. I was writing the first message to gather some people, and now our platform is around 170,000 lines of code. And it's just the beginning, because we have a basic, we have the infrastructure of pretty much everything, and we are, yes, that's literally the first message I sent to Nicola, which is which is our head of the IT team. And it's incredible what we were able to achieve. It started out as a side project. Of course, it became much more than that. And I have to say that we try to be useful to as many people as possible. Like many times I heard during my lectures, choose a target which is very narrow and just stick to them and don't. I think this is a useful tool, and the more it is broad, the more people are going to be able to use it. So the main function, like I'm going to make a map about the main functions of this platform. We start by a theory, which is essentially the chapters I wanted to put in a book. Like every chapters I studied here in my bachelor in Bocconi, organized in three main categories. There is one which is the pillars of economics, which is literally the basics, microeconomics, macroeconomics, but all written in a very clear and visual way. As you can see, the first chapter, if we scroll through the first chapters, like there is the informal definition, the formal definition. Everything is clear, and with example, they link it to our everyday life, which is, I think, what many lectures lack of. Like they are very theoretical. They do not really like tell you how is it useful in our life. Everything that I forgot, and after 2 years of studying this, I'm not going to put in my platform, because if me, which I'm in finance, I don't remember this, like why would other people care? So I don't even understand why there is this excessive theoretical approach to every subject. This is meant to be practical. Once you understand the topics with the pillars of economics, there is another section which is the history, and we show how these pillars apply from the beginning to the end in our history. So it's all the history explained clearly in an economical key, from the agricultural revolution to our day crisis. And then there are entrepreneurs, theorists. You're going to be able to read about those who theorize the economy, and also modern entrepreneurs we can think of Ennio Doris, Berlusconi, and Warren Buffett, and many others. So these are going to be more direct stories. This is, of course, as many of you are thinking, the most boring section. It is, but it is useful to approach it also strategically. If someone wants to know more about inflation, there is going to be a research bar. You type inflation, and you know everything a bachelor teaches you about inflation. And this is going to be for every chapter. It's meant to be very study friendly. If you can change the color of the paper, you can choose the format, you can choose the size, you can choose pretty much everything. And you're also going to be able to highlight the word. For example, if you want to write your own comment, and every time you get into the word, you are going to be able to see your comment. So everything is going to be memorized by the system. And also there is going to be lateral notes if you want to make more general notes about the overall platform. It's interesting that there is also a chat everywhere. There is a general chat. You can create your own groups with your own friends and talk about the content you're reading. For example, imagine I'm doing this since most of you are university-based. Imagine if at the first year you would have been able to have your own class on the platform, all the topics you were going to learn written already clearly and professionally, and you were able to chat and comment with your friends about this. Then there's going to be a chat for every chapter, for every section. So our goal is to make it as interactive as possible. In this section, there is not going to be only text, but also videos from us explaining some topics, or also interviews from experts and of the field, from economists, from entrepreneurs, to hear stories. And it's also going to help you to understand how this is really useful in everyday life. Moving on to the next section, it's the newsletter. For us, it's like when we go to interviews, I think one of the most difficult parts is to be very up to date in a short amount of time with what's going on around the world, because you're usually asked of it. And if you start investing, you have your own portfolio, which is especially if you invest more stock oriented, it's very exposed to everything that's happening, and it's very hard to track what's going on in the real world. There are very conflicting news, and this is what helps you. You can filter it from for difficulty level and from topic. And if it was we speak finance advanced. This is of course just the main. This is an article I wrote it. It's about an alternative strategy, which is risk arbitrage, which is a strategy that many hedge funds use to capture the spread in M&A acquisitions. That's a very advanced topic. It's going to be advanced. It's going to have a lot of formulas, a lot of graphics, but it's cool. There is going to be also very basic chapters and in newsletters, just to understand, Trump has put a tariff. What is going on? How is your house is going to be? How are your savings going to go if you invested there? Other than this, after the tariff, what are the potential implications? And everything is going to be linked back to the theory. So if you want to know how a theory actually, how a tariff actually impacts the economy, that's going to be the way. I would move to the work session first. Of course, this is a work in progress. When I started, I sent my first CV. I remember I sent it to JP Morgan, and it was like a 3-page CV all about my lifeguard experience. And of course, I didn't get a reply. It took me, I would say, a year to know that there is a standard format. The words you use are important, because now there are detectors, online detectors, that just extract before an actual person reading them. It would have been helpful to know that an HR dedicates 2 to 3 seconds to scan over all the CV, and if it's not interested, it just moves to the next one. This we offer, of course, there's going to be a template to speed up the making the CV, the process of making a CV, but it's going to be also with practical advices on how to write it in the form, in the content. So most of you are end of the bachelor students, so you probably already covered this, but once again, Step back to to those of you who are just of the version of you that was just starting in economy. Like this was a loss of time and also opportunities not to know these basics. And then there's going to be the whole package. Yes, we also be able to upload your CV to get a professional review from an expert, from an HR. There are going to be examples on what to do, what not to do, and there is also going to be a checklist of things you should check before sending, which is also very basic. Like, for example, if you put a point at the end of some sentences and not at the end of the others, an automatical scanner would put accuracy very low. So it's just like a point at the end of a sentence, but it may make a difference. Other than the CV, there is going to be the full package. So cover letter, recommendation letter, how to ask, how to organize. Like now they're not visible. Also, like reading the internships. Like I remember always the first year I read the audit of cycle. For me, like I had no idea what it was. Like I didn't know what auditing was. I didn't have an idea that an off cycle was 6 months. So I was just applying to things I didn't really need. And it was like 2.5 years ago. So not decades ago. University. This is very interactive. It's meant to avoid all the 100 Excels, 2 weeks of research to know what university does what, and I think it's very useful. It's going to be, of course, for a bachelor and a master and MBA. For now, I just have a sample of university for the bachelors. Like now they are around 30. There are going to be more than 150. So it works like this. Like you have your continent, you pick your countries. If you don't want, it selects everything. Same from the city. So you can. And then you are asked many questions that fit your preferences. So if you want it private, let's do an example. So it's I would say private. The me of myself at the beginning was looking for a private university mostly. Taught in English because I wanted it to be international. I cared about having a campus, like not just be isolated. And the program had to be 3 years. So, and then for the other filters, like your tuition, pretty flexible depending on what we were gonna get. I would put like a high and with a moderate importance because I was not really looking to spend a fortune, but of course it depends from the value I was getting from this. Then you ask yourself, how much can you spend in rent and expenses? I would put a medium and again a moderate importance. And then the climate, for example, like for my master, a main driver was I didn't want to be in a place that with rain every day. So with the bachelor, I still didn't know that, so I chose Milan. But it's temperate.
Doesn't rain any day, every day.
Mostly in summer you boil. In winter you are like always in the cold. So let's put temperate with a high importance. I was never gonna go in a cold place. And the selectivity, I wanted it to be selective, like at least competitive, because that was important. So it's another factor. Then if you mark as mandatory, it means that every university that doesn't have that is automatically taken out of the list. So I would take away mandatory, like for the purposes but that's how it works. It's almost done as well. It's the ranking. You need to be very good. Like this is our ranking, because once again, if you look at the ranking at the beginning, like you realize that it's purely theoretical. Like you look at the ranking and it takes into account the metric cubes of CO2 that the university makes every year, which is maybe not something you want to base your future path on. So it's instead of using a ranking based on our experience of like people who are in this field, we gave our ranking, our ratio. Like if you think of HSE Paris, I think it's a super university. If I think of Bocconi, again, I place it high in ranking, and then so on with a different level of importance. So I would put a top 50, a top 25, and it was again highly important to me. And the balance mix of international students, that might be also a factor to consider. So if we update the preferences, you get out of all the database like a ranking on how the university plays best for you. Good thing that my choice was confirmed. I swear it wasn't prepared, but I had some doubts, but it was confirmed. Then you might want to like rank the best, like compare the best ones. So if you go down, you have to select. You choose which one you want, and then you can freely compare them and see in which of the variables, for example, Bocconi was strong and the others and the other failed. So it's this is the tool. So it's going down. There must be something like, for example, for Warwick, if he has 80, yeah, exactly. So it's not everything is 100%. For example, the internationality was not perfectly matched. And if you see for the others, like it was, I put elite, the other were selective. So again, it's this is how the tool works. Lastly, this is mostly what you already covered in your 3-year, at least I hope you did. The main function that might still interest, despite having a support while studying, if I was at my age, at my level of education, I would choose this platform mostly for the mini world. The mini world is a function which is a game that we are building. We are gonna have the possibility to play that at the end of this as the last thing we are gonna do today. And the mini world is a simulation of everyday of the economy. Like everything you find in the economy: stocks, bonds, presidents, governors, countries, trade agreements, houses, so the real estate market, the central banks, commercial banks, private banks, investment banks, everything you should know it exists in the economy surrounding you is going to be duplicated in a mini world. It's not going to be real, so I'm not going to have real names of presidents, but it's going to be extremely realistic in the dynamics. This helps you start with a certain amount of money, and your objective is to grow your wealth as much as possible and start to gain confidence on what it means to invest in a stock, and then having to check the news which come up periodically to know if this stock is going up, is it going down. So this is going to be mostly the sense of the mini world. You're going to have the possibility to play a particular snapshot of it today. It's going to be a 30 minutes game, and the winner is going to gain a 50 euros Amazon gift card. So I think that that's an incentive to at least go through the first sections of they will be presented to you. It's a very interactive game. You really play, you make money, you lose money. You're gonna start with 100,000 of the coin in the country you're gonna be from, and you can grow your portfolio. And me myself, that I wrote the game and he that he programmed it. Every time we play, we make different amount of money. And there are sometimes I was down 4 million, and sometimes I was up like 2. So it really depends on the strategy and the timing you do. And I wouldn't be able to do the best strategy myself if I played.